In the 1970s, Ron Moorhead, an amateur scientist and a professional Bigfoot believer, recorded some incredibly strange sounds in the Sierra Nevada mountains. These sounds, according to Moorhead in his tell-all book, were supposedly Bigfoot because he took these tapes and he had them sent to a lab and verified that they were sounds that humans could not make. There's not much other evidence as for why he goes on to claim that this surely then must be Bigfoot, but he certainly does. I, personally, would have never heard of this whole story if not for a channel I'm actually a decent fan of, The Lore Lodge. But I heard of this story and something about it just seems amiss. Something seems almost too good to be true, so I've decided to look further and ask more questions. The most important question being, what's going on with the Sierra Camp tapes? The first question we have to ask then is, are these tapes really verified? And the answer is sorta. See, in 1977, Ron Moorhead and his accomplice Al Berry sent the tapes to Dr. R. Lynn Curlin at the University of Wyoming to have them vetted. Let it be noted that Dr. Curlin is a professor of electrical engineering, computer engineering, with noted skills in a myriad of things that I'm going to display on screen here that make him very qualified to say whether or not these tapes were digitally altered. And his consensus was no, the tapes had not been digitally edited. Now, Dr. Curlin isn't noted for any studies for anthropology, human speech, or any such related topic regarding, whether or not Bigfoot said these words. And let it be noted that Dr. Curlin's only assistant in this review, one Lassie Hertel, also has no credentials in anthropology, linguistics, human speech, or any such related studies, which is to say that these guys were very qualified to tell you whether or not these tapes had been digitally altered or edited. They were not very qualified to tell you that it was speech. What they did say, in a paragraph of their review, that the Lore Lodge, Ron Moorhead, and every Bigfoot truther ever has latched onto, is that according to them, it would be impossible for a human to make these noises. It would have to be something with a more complex throat, much larger than a human. The part that everyone leaves out of that paragraph is they also directly state that it would be possible for an instrument of some kind to make these noises, which means that effectively what verifying the tapes did was eliminate the possibility of them having been digitally edited, but practical effects are still on the table, and this still very much so could be a hoax. The next question we need to ask then is, on what basis are the sounds in these tapes being considered a language? Which takes us to the next big name I have coming to bat in this story. Scott Nelson is a retired cryptologic linguist. He worked for the Navy for 30 years, he speaks English, Russian, Persian, and Spanish, and he worked in decoding and encoding messages in all of these languages. He also kept his job with the Navy for 30 years and retired there, so that surely has to speak for something. In his personal linguistic work, which mostly seems to follow the Sierra Camp tapes, he does not follow any international linguist standards. In the realm of linguistics, linguists have a standard universal alphabet. This alphabet contains every single sound a person could possibly make, and multiple sounds that a person could not possibly make. It is used in trying to understand dead languages or languages that we just have not cracked and do not understand yet. It is something that every linguist can access, or at least they're supposed to be. Scott Nelson does not use the universal alphabet, opting instead to create his own unique Bigfoot alphabet, making his work entirely inaccessible to any other linguist who would want to look at this. It is on this basis that it is considered a language, the sounds being made in the Sierra Camp tapes, and this basis, to me at least, seems pretty doubtful, because if you have one guy going, yeah, this is a language, no, you can't look at my work, that's pretty weird to me. That's pretty odd. It's a little strange, isn't it? It's a little weird. So, these tapes aren't doctored, but the only guys who were there when they were made are the guys who make $12 every time you buy their book. The tapes supposedly contain language if you listen to one guy who worked for the Navy. Dr. Curlin verified that these tapes weren't digitally edited at a time that it was very easy to become a science rock star. He could have had his name attached to the discovery of the century, and yet he passed it by and never did anything related to Bigfoot ever again in his career. Flat out, all things considered, I don't buy it. I don't think these tapes are conceivable. I want to believe badly, but I can't, from an unbiased perspective, look at the evidence presented here and say that I think it's remotely plausible that the most likely explanation for what these guys encountered was Bigfoot. I don't think it was Bigfoot. Here is my last bit of argument against the Sierra Camp tapes. For half the year, every year, I work with the United States Forest Service in Zone 5, which is basically to say, California. I won't say what ranger district exactly I work in, but I will say that I work remarkably close to the place that these tapes were recorded. I spend every day for half of the year starting my workday in a building full of professionals, people who have made their lives maintaining the outdoors, and yet I have never heard a single professional tell me a story about Bigfoot. There is no inexplicable files, and when I go outside, when I am doing my work maintaining the trails, I have seen nothing that could be chalked up to Bigfoot in my day-to-day dealings. Working in conservation and doing my best to do my part for the environment has taught me a lot of things. On top of not seeing anything inexplicable that could be chalked up to Bigfoot, I have learned that there is a thought held by people who don't work with federal organizations, and even some people who do, that somewhere in the ranger station, somewhere in your local government building, is a secret meeting room no one gets to know about. And in this secret meeting room, all of the mysteries have answers, and all of the big shots are called. There is no meeting room. It is just normal people trying to lead normal lives, making all of these decisions, making all of these calls. There is no grand cover-up, there is no grand scheme. If something just doesn't have proof, it just doesn't have proof. And this fact is honestly much scarier than a conspiracy, in my opinion. And because of acknowledging that fact, it makes me much less likely to believe conspiracies. Once you internalize the fact that there is no meeting room, the world starts to make a scary amount of sense. I think it'd be really cool if Bigfoot was real. I think it'd be fucking awesome. Giant monkey in the woods, that's the shit. But I think the chances that Bigfoot is real are slim to none. And I think the Sierra Camp tapes don't even begin to make any kind of serious cut in terms of being qualified as evidence towards Bigfoot. Alright kids, we did it. We made it to the end of another video. I'm gonna give you the regular YouTuber spiel. If you're new here and you made it all the way, go ahead and just press subscribe. If you're not new here but you like the video, go ahead and like the video, comment if you have something to say. If you didn't like the video, dislike the video, comment if you have something to say. Same shit that every YouTuber tells you ever. I'm telling you this because it does help the channel. Please, give me your subscriptions. Alright, I made this video because I was like, oh man, the Sierra Camp tapes sound cool, and Bigfoot, and the Lore Lodge is a good channel. And then I started working for the Forest Service, and I had like a little brain blast moment where I was like, hey, wait a minute. These guys aren't nearly fucking competent enough to cover up Bigfoot. And that's on working with the government, baby. That being said, I do really respect the Lore Lodge and what they do. I don't mean this video as like a diss or a drag or a dog. I don't want anyone to like be like, oh, look at this guy with only 4,000 subscribers trying to start a YouTube beef so he can get fame and popularity. Not what I'm going for here. I just wanted to make this video because I did my own research on, you know, the Sierra Camp tapes, and I came to a very different conclusion than the Lore Lodge. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna stop yammering now, so I'm so great at outros. Thank you so much for watching. It really does mean the world, and I really am grateful that I get to do this. So, have a great time, and until next time, memento mori.